So who was voted the funniest?
I think Colby. There's 4 votes from last time I checked it. I was 2 of them, and Colby was the other 2. Like, not
Well-
for me though. Not for me. The other 2 were somebody. One of them was Flo, and then you said your sister.
Yeah, I think so.
So
So you voted for yourself twice, and then Flo and my sister voted for me.
Wow.
Okay.
So welcome back to the SemLyfe. My name is Patrick, here with Colby and Alex.
Hello there. This is Colby.
hi, I'm Alex.
So we had a question come up, which it worked out really well because we were talking about the certain topics we wanted to cover, and spiritual direction was one of those topics. And then we had a question come up from an audience member, aka Alex's sister, aka I'm still convinced our only person that listens.
If that's the case, then my family voted against me in the polls.
95% of our audience, and Alex still lost. So yeah, we were going to go over spiritual direction. And okay, so Alex, have you done spiritual direction before
Yeah.
seminary?
Yeah.
What was your experience with that?
Well, back the priest I chose was one from high school, and so like we pretty much already knew each other, like basis wise. So, I got him probably like a year before I went to seminary, and so I don't know we were just kind of it was honestly just more of a friendship, and not like a friendship, but like he guided me and like asked questions, you know. Like, yeah, it was more like comfortable because it was like you're like talking to a total stranger and telling your deepest darkest secrets right away because he kind of already knew me. Yeah, it was pretty fun, I guess. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. So how did it come about?
Um, hmm, that is a good question.
Because so I guess have this in mind. I'm sitting here and I have never gone to spiritual direction. What would be my steps to
Oh,
start spiritual direction?
gotcha. I mean, for me, well, it's like most people, they most people pick their parish priest. That's just usually a common occurrence, or just like somebody that they know best. And there's always the thing of like pick a priest that doesn't know you. But I don't necessarily like that side because I just feel like I want them to know at least something about me. I don't know. Anyways, um, I think you just really have to just get a lot of like strength just to ask that first question, and like even just like ask around, be like, what is spiritual direction? Like ask your friends or family to see if they even know what it is, and then kind of open your horizons, and then eventually you take that next step and you actually go to the priest and ask him, and he may or may not have a spot open for you because sometimes priests are just that overwhelmed and do not have open spots for spiritual direction. So he may have a spot, but depending, maybe not.
And if not, he'll probably point you in a right direction.
Yeah.
So the first step is just talking to a priest about it.
Yeah.
That's cool. So how many times did you meet with your priest?
I think we met at least a few times. I mean, I was still new to it, so we didn't meet a lot, and he was busy because he had high school stuff to do. So, like between classes and other priest duties that I don't know of.
Okay.
But, I mean, it was pretty fun though. I learned a lot. He helped me a lot, and then came here, and then they said I couldn't have him. So I was like, okay, we'll switch.
It sounded like it was pretty informal, at least in comparison to now. Maybe is
Yeah.
that accurate?
Yeah, I'd say so. Because that was definitely more of like a late night, it wasn't late night, but it was in comparison to, say, a late night conversation with one of your best friends. Just like how deep it got, and like how he helped me in certain ways to like guide me in a path that maybe I didn't think of.
Mm,
So,
Mm.
I hear that.
but I mean, obviously it wasn't late night. It was like midday.
Gotcha.
So unnecessary details, but
Yeah.
Colby, what was well, you were in high school, so did you have a spiritual director before?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I Yeah. Seminary was my first experience for spiritual direction. So
Okay. Well then, I guess I guess I'll explain my experience with the spiritual director outside of seminary, and then we'll move into what it looks like inside of seminary. Is that cool?
yeah.
yeah,
Sweet.
go for it.
So I think I had two. Um,
At the same time, you really
no,
needed that. You must be real holy, man.
no, I needed to because I was the opposite of holy. Am the opposite of holy. Um, I had one, and it was it was basically like reaching out to a friend priest and being like, "Hey, do you want to be my spiritual director?" And he was like, "I'm really not supposed to, and I think I know you too well, and we hang out too much for it to be super effective." And I was like, which kind of sucks because you want, like you said, Alex, you
Mhm.
want um, the priest to know you, so he kind of understands where you're coming from. But that's good in some parts, but then also it's crazy how uh, effective it is when the priest doesn't know you and you say something and he's like, "Wait, where are you coming from with that?" So,
Yeah.
so he directed me to someone else that uh, was fascinating because we were the exact opposite people, and so which turned out to be really good, even though I was just like angsty a lot of the time. And I was like, "You don't get me," not saying that to him, but I remember leaving the meetings, which was once a month for an hour.
Oh wow.
And that's kind of how it played out for me. And it was really nice because it was you were able to sit down, and the spiritual director is supposed to be able to just listen and kind of just give maybe hints, not necessarily tell you what to do, but maybe hints of what's going on. Um, and so that's what it looked like for me uh, outside of seminary. And we'll shoot over to you, Colby. What does it look like inside of seminary?
Well, I think I'll start with just talking about kind of what I expected. I really expected just like kind of like what you were saying, just to be kind of told what to do. I was like, okay,
Right.
so spiritual direction, he's going to direct me spiritually. He's going to tell me what I need to do in my prayer. Just like this guy is going to really make me holy. And like obviously uh he is like helpful, but it's more of a companionship is kind of how I see it, or just kind of a um yeah, he guides me through it, or kind of just nudges me a little bit. It's not like just turns me around or something like that. Or just points me in a different direction, kind of just like um watches me and kind of yeah, hints towards it where I ought to go is kind of what I've experienced. And but like yeah, that is not what I expected at all. I was expecting to be like just told what to do basically in my prayer, which in a way it's kind of like that's what I wanted, but at the same time, it's good that that's not what I got because prayer for different people can be very different. So
Right. But at some points, that's what you want.
Mhm.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's sometimes like, I feel like sometimes when I'm speaking, I like know I'm completely wrong. And I'm like, so this is what I think happened in my prayer. And I can tell my spiritual director is like, hmm, yeah, that's probably wrong. And it's like, just tell me,
yeah. Yeah, stop. Keep me on the edge of my
sheet.
sheet.
Hate when they keep me on the edge of my sheets. How often are you meeting with your spiritual director?
I meet with my spiritual director about every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for how long?
Kind of depends. It's usually for about 40 minutes to usually not longer than an hour and 15 minutes. So
Okay. And so you said he doesn't really tell you what to do. So how do the meetings look? Like what you guys walk in, say hi, you sit down, you have your cup of coffee. And do you drink coffee?
I drink coffee a little bit.
You drink like
I drink like a cup,
yeah, you
maybe.
drink like an inch of coffee. Every morning you just drink an inch of coffee and then go run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you have your watered down water or something.
Right, right.
Okay.
Water.
And so you sit down with Father spiritual director.
Yes.
How does it start?
um well usually he asks about just kind of how academics are going, how community is going, fraternity, um, just kind of generally how everything is going. Like, am I exercising? Just like overall, like just health of the the person. Just like you know, yeah, I'm talking to people. Yeah, I'm talking to my friends, and like, no, we're not really button heads too much or whatever. Um, that kind of thing. And yeah, and sometimes we'll kind of go into something a little bit more, or just like kind of talk about that, and eventually we get more into just like the question of where do you think this spirit is leading you? That's usually a common question that he asks me, and I although I don't really prepare for spiritual direction very well. So usually when he comes to this question, it is very much the Holy Spirit leading me to the answer because I have not prepared at all. So yeah, but then that usually leads to a decent amount of conversation actually. Whatever that thing might be for the that 2 weeks. Usually I just think of what I've been praying about the last 2 or 3 days and just where I see that leading me. So
Okay. Sweet. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like the way this is going. So you like to naturally let it, walk in and whatever naturally shows up.
right,
That's what we talk about.
it's a yeah, pretty casual conversation. Yeah, and whatever. Yeah.
Sweet. Alex, what have you found?
So my spiritual director, my new one at least, he is the same lines of touching base on all four of those, but he goes more of the route of we haven't done it yet, but he brings it up every time of like journal entries of like what I write in my journal, which like I'm okay at speaking, but when I write, I'm a lot better. So like that's would be like a better way for me to uh like talk about whatever I need to talk because I just forget about whatever I'm talking about. just not
Right.
I just don't really think about it. So usually when he asks me about all those things, I don't really think too deeply about it because I'm just like, oh, I think it's going well. And then like my journal's like, yeah, no, you're wrong. Something happened earlier in the week. I'm like, oh, you're right, it did. But I think that this past like we meet about like every other 2 weeks, so just like Colby. And yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. And I think it is. I sometimes I tried. I think the last time I tried to prepare, but I was just looking through my entries and I was like, these are just all the same. I'm just talking about the same thing, just in different words. Which it wasn't anything really bad. It was just talking about Mary.
Mm.
Because I was like, and it's like when he asked me about it, I was like, yeah, oh, same one, same one, same one. Okay, so actually, we're gonna close that.
Oh, so you have the book like there in the meeting
yeah,
with him.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're just going through like at the time that he
Yeah.
asked you. Fascinating.
Which I'm not sure if I'm supposed to, because one time he told me something and I was like, I'm gonna write that down. And so I was writing it down and he was waiting and I was like, sorry, this might take a little bit of time. I'm a slow writer.
Oh. Really good point. Really good point. Because I do have the urge to write things down. I write like a ton of things down all the time.
Mhm.
But it's the same thing with like having a counselor or a therapist. Like some therapists are like, we only have an hour. I don't have time for you to write everything down. And
Yeah.
then some therapists are like, no, I'll wait. Like, this is important for you to write down. So that's fascinating.
Yeah. I usually just write like the general idea if it's too big.
Okay.
So I'm just like, if it's like a paragraph he told me, I'm just like, okay, 3 words. Go.
Yeah.
It's all you.
Cool.
But it is on like a lot of it is definitely I is I'm just gonna be saying the same stuff Colby said of thinking that they were gonna lead me. Like even though I had a spiritual director before that, I still thought that he was going to be leading me in a direction. And like even during the spiritual direction meetings, I was like, "Oh, you're still going to lead me somewhere." But it makes sense when you do it enough because you're like, it's easier for yourself to learn when you find it yourself, rather than somebody telling you what to do, and then you're not actually finding it, and you're just like, "Oh, I should do this, but I don't know why."
Mm.
Versus you find it and like you know why you should do it because you're the one that understood why. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
understood it.
Yeah, that does. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I like how that turned out. Like seeing how you guys go into the meeting. Because I go into the meeting because I'm like you, Alex. I have um like my writings of what happened, and usually throughout my journal, throughout like the week, or I guess it's every 2 weeks. So throughout the last 2 weeks, I usually have like highlighted things. And so like if I'm in prayer on Monday and I'm like, ooh, I should probably bring this up to the spiritual director, like I'll like mark it. And so a couple hours before my meeting, when I'm going over everything, I can be like, make an actual list, which that's something I like to do because other than that, I'll just forget everything and I'll go into the meeting and be like, I don't know what to talk about. So yeah, I like planning it out, having the list,
Checking it twice.
checking it twice, noticing that I'm naughty most of the time.
Naughty and not nice.
Cool. Well, I think we'll wrap this up with a what
Quick
see.
rosary.
a quick little Seven Sorrows of Mary rosary. Is that what it's called? Seven Sorrowful
I don't know.
Rosaries? Something.
7 sorrowful rosaries. Yeah, we'll just do a quick 7 rosaries.
Yep. Something like 7-decade rosary. That's what it is.
It's the 7 Dolores, I believe. Right?
Dolores?
Yeah, the 7 sorrows.
7 Sorrows. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I have no idea. What's your favorite part, Alex?
Of what?
Spiritual direction.
It's like,
Of
what are
the
we talking
7
about?
Doloreses of rosaries. Favorite part of spiritual direction?
Favorite part of spiritual direction, I would say, is the different perspective that the priest gives from my own. Because like, while like I have like a perspective, he's always like, "What if it's this?" And I'm like, "Possibility. You might be right. We're onto something."
Nice.
So, yeah.
I agree. Colby.
I don't really, yeah, look back too much. Like I kind of forget, like Alex said he does, about like what's been going on in the past 2 weeks. So kind of just meeting with someone every so often to kind of be like, so how are things going is a really good thing for me, just because I don't really think back too much about how things are looking, I guess. So just being able to kind of, uh,
Articulating
yeah,
the
articulate
last.
it and just kind of be like, I don't know, meditate over what's been going on and just be like, oh, okay, so this is kind of what my prayer has been like.
Amen.
Cool.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. I think I would agree with both of you. I think my favorite aspect is the fact that I feel so lost in the spiritual like journey, spiritual pilgrimage or whatever. And so having someone sitting there and listening and not freaking out is super helpful. So I know I'm like not super far off, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's beneficial for anyone who's ever been interested. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you next Sunday
And,
at 6 a.m.
and if you guys have any questions, be sure to look at the email in the description. Thanks.